Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at jonnydelsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. Welcome into a Friday on the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast, episode 276. I'm excited, Johnny. Some good news about the channel. You are rapidly approaching 28,000 subscribers. The video, look, let me break down this channel if you are new, because the last video got so many views. There may be new viewers today. So remember, Johnny has amazing breakdown videos that shows the whys and hows of the game, why the X's zig, the O's zag, you know the deal. But this video that was just done against the Eagles is performing at the best rate for this entire season. So congrats on this video.
Playoff
Johnny.
time, baby.
Yeah, so we're excited. So all this means is we want to keep growing. So make sure that you are helping us out if you enjoy this content, and I know that you do. So take your phone, show Niner fans this channel, show them your favorite video, hit live, and that's where you can show them some of the podcasts. If you enjoy this face, my mom does, so that means something.
At least somebody does.
Yes. So let's get into it, Johnny. I'm excited for the games. I want to start by saying this. Okay, you look at the quarterbacks that are left in the playoffs, and the only quarterback that I do not trust more than Sam Darnold, when you really look at it, is probably CJ Stroud, who fumbled 5 times. And other than that, Sam Darnold's at the top of that list, and Drew Lock I trust worse than CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I mean, it's big game. Darnold has been a thing. Like any time it's been a big game and there starts getting pressure on him, he presses. And this has been the MO throughout his career so far. He's only got it's wild to think about that he's where he's at right now, and people consider him where they do in the league after all of these years in the league, and he's had one playoff game, and that did not go well at all. Because I think I put out on there, I was really more trying to poke Seahawks fans than anything. I said playoff Sam Darnold is a thing, and the Seahawks, the 12s, they came after me. It's only been one playoff game, and you go, exactly. You're putting all your faith in a quarterback who has had a grand total of one playoff start in his career, and
How many has
it
Brock
did
had?
not go well. And he's in his 8th year, his 9th season. So this idea that in Sam they can trust, I don't believe it. I cannot believe in Sam we trust at this point. He's playing not as well as he did last year, because I put that in, and one of the Seahawks fans said well, we're not the same team as the Vikings. And so I quote posted that and I said, yeah, Sam threw for a lot more touchdowns, more yards, and fewer interceptions with the Vikings. But they're a team that is clearly not run by their offense. They are run by that defense. And what our defense has to do is force Sam to say, I've got to run this engine now. And I've got to score 17 plus points on this 49ers team because he has not been able to do that this year.
I'm the captain now.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
So, yeah, that's the reason why I have a little bit of excitement for this game. In the same way that I had an excitement for the Eagles game in knowing that their offense and their coordinator, who we know got let go now, that was our saving grace, is that their offense sometimes acts like they're a baseball team out there and they're like, football, what is this? What do we have to do? 10 yards? Why is it 10? Like they just don't understand the game is their offense. And I thought that would be our saving grace. And it kind of was. So in this game now, if we are to have a victory Monday, it will be because we're kind of hanging our hat on the idea that maybe Sam Darnold gives us a couple, or maybe misses a 3rd and 6 that was like, oh, right there, and at a pivotal point in the 3rd quarter, at the end of the 3rd quarter, and then we carry momentum and we end up winning. Something like that. No one would be shocked, including Seattle, I don't think, because he's not perfect. He does miss some throws, kind of like Caleb Williams. Um, so that's why I'm excited. What are some of your other keys, Johnny?
Keys are, and I was going through this morning and just reviewing third downs in week 1 versus third downs in week 18.
Oh, dude, do we
And
have to? Because it's bad. You mean
well,
for
and
our offense? Are you talking?
right,
Oh,
right. But
okay.
I'm
I already
like,
know.
what is the difference? I'm looking at like what was scheme wise, what was the difference on the field
Okay.
result? What is the difference? Because both Kyle Shanahan and Clay Kubiak this week talked about that they weren't able to run the ball as well against Seattle in week 18 because they weren't converting enough third downs. And I kind of go, okay, well, I think one feeds into the other, that you need to run the ball better so that you can get some more manageable third and downs or third downs, because the beginning of week 18, our third downs were 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11, and 3rd and 11, and we converted one of them. And so that's not a recipe for success. If you can't get a single first down until your third drive in the game, that's not boding well for you. And then from there, our third downs were more manageable. We had 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 13, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 6. And even then, we only converted one more third down in the game. So you have to be able to convert the manageable third downs, but you're gonna have to convert at least a couple third and longs against this team. That's just gonna be a fact. The number one difference I saw, in at least scheme wise, between what was different from week 1 versus 18, Seattle fans will say it was because we had Nick Emenwari, and this defense is just so talented. And Emenwari is that X factor. Now, Emenwari is a great player. Really exciting young player, fits exactly what they want to do. They want this hybrid safety nickel guy, linebacker in that third spot. But I will say the thing that just from watching real quick through the third downs on week 18 and then going back, and in the first 3 plays, I saw it immediately what was the difference. And what the difference was is that week 1, we had Trent Williams, and we weren't helping with Christian McCaffrey or George Kittle or the tight end to his side. And week 18, we had Austin Pleasance, and we were helping and chipping every single time, either with him or Colton McKivitz, so that we could slide and Burford could be over there and help Pleasance.
You forget about that.
Everything,
Yep.
everything in that week 18 matchup was all about how do they help Austin Pleasance in pass protection versus that front. I mean, it's so glaring. That is why there was no space on the field, because when you're taking a tight end, especially one like George Kittle out of the game. Now I know George is not going to be there. We all know why George is not going to be there, but still, you can get some stretches with Jake Tonjes, with Farrell, if you're able to, because if they're going to drop back really deep early, then you can hit something underneath and get a first down. Because Farrell did in week 1. We didn't have George Kittle week 1, right? He went out in the second quarter. So the difference between week 1 and week 18 wasn't George Kittle. The difference was Trent Williams. When you look at the offense, because we held Seattle to enough points to win the game. We held them to 13 points each game. The difference was that we only scored 3 week 18, and we scored 17 week 1. And so much of that was that there just wasn't space created, because Christian McCaffrey is your number one gravity on the field. And when you're keeping him on check and releases that he's having to help in pass pro, because you have Austin Pleasance there and you're trying to get Burford over there sometimes, or you're just keeping him in there, period, you don't get any sort of space created, and there was just nowhere to go with the ball. And then when you mix that with a receiving core that doesn't have a lot of explosive speed, they're contested catch guys. I think we saw that with Demarcus Robinson. He was 4 yards behind the defense at one point on that second play of the game and did not score a touchdown. Doesn't have high speed at all. Like Kendrick Bourne, Demarcus Robinson, Juwan Jennings. I love them. No speed. When you put all that together, that is a recipe against this defense for just no space created, and it's really hard to get a first down. And so that is my biggest differentiator, I think, from week 1 to week 18. And I say this is why I believe that the 49ers have a much better chance this time, is because you have one Trent Williams. We were able to still put up a lot of points with Austin Pleasance versus the Bears, because the Bears do not have the front that Seattle does. Once you went against Seattle in that front, Austin Pleasance was a severe liability, and very much realized at the end of the game, Brock got the shoulder stinger, that now you don't have to worry about that as much. Trent's even healthier than he was against Philadelphia, and you're able to now, I think, keep pace with that Seattle offense.
So I got to disagree with a super chat, but thank you for chiming in. D. Meyer says may have been that week 18 loss to the Sea Chickens may have been the best thing. The reason I disagree is because we're so hurt, and we would love to not. We've talked about this. We wouldn't leave the Bay Area for freaking 9 months. That we would stay.
I would. The pushback I have is that if you don't play last week, George Kittle probably doesn't tear his Achilles. And so I will say I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, like the heart of a champion, and
the heart of a champion, but also seeing the emergence of Eric Kendricks and what he can do out on the field now,
and we need it.
We absolutely needed that. Having Marquis Siegel come in and solidify the tackling in the back end was very helpful. Didn't see a bunch of coverage busts. He had a great makeup on the deep ball to AJ Brown. He was a quarters safety, and he did a great job in recognition and recovery to go get into the throwing lane. So I think in those ways, it was positive for the team. It was positive to see them move forward and grow. I think the defense, as crazy as it sounds to be in the divisional round, is still making strides. They're still ascending as a defense, or I guess learning and growing as a defense. Maybe not ascending, but and those are good things down the stretch, because I think it's not just been the lack of pass rushers for why we haven't gotten as much pressure. There's been a lack of cohesiveness in key moments on the defense to get some of those pressures and sacks. So we have seen over the last 4 and 5 weeks that the 49ers have actually gotten better at their pressures and better at sacks, at least per game. They had we forget sometimes that there was a massive drought in the middle of the season, massive drought for pressures and sacks. And so they've been kind of clawing their way back from that, but they have been getting a little bit better.
Yeah, I am just excited that the overall this season, we do this a couple times a week, or we try to, and sometimes it's lost in the sauce of what this season truly has meant for the all of the talking heads are starting. We talked about this, like, are really giving Kyle Shanahan his flowers, and you just can't say enough about the coaching staff and the job that they've done. I want to ask you a little bit about coaching staff. I want to shift a little bit. We'll get back to the game, but I know it's how the game goes, but does it irk you a little bit to know that Robert Saleh in the middle of this is meeting with the Arizona Cardinals? Or is that just, nah, it's no big deal. That's just the way it goes? Like, what's your
Uh,
take?
I mean, that's the way it goes. Look, the Rams have, I think, 3 guys today interviewing with, either today or tomorrow, interviewing with a number of different teams. Chris Shula is interviewing, what's his butt, their passing game coordinator. He's interviewing,
Good old
uh
what's his butt?
yeah, I mean, look,
Uzi what's it?
I'm not an expert
No,
on the Rams'
I
coaching
am
staff.
not on purpose.
Um,
Yes.
you know, Clint Kubiak has been interviewing with a number of different teams. I think he just had an interview with the Steelers, or he's supposed to have an interview today with the Steelers. Um, like, when you have a quality coach that people are interested in, that's par for the course. If anything, right now, San Francisco is maybe even a little bit behind on the amount of people that are being interviewed for positions comparative to uh, some of the other teams around the league. There's guys all over the place. Like, example, the Rams, they have 3 guys on their staff that are interviewing for head coaching positions. That's just part of it at this time of the season, that your coaches are navigating and your coordinators are navigating. These interview processes while the playoffs are going. I mean, we also have to remember that there's a massive amount of vacancies right now. I don't remember a time when there were this many vacancies, and a couple of them being high profile, very attractive destinations like Baltimore, like Pittsburgh. Now, I will say, people have said Pittsburgh is in a really bad place. The I think Robert Saleh, it would make a lot of sense for him to go to Pittsburgh. They've always been defensive minded. They've always had a good defense. Uh, but he's too competitive to want to blow that thing up and start over. So in one sense, their job security with Pittsburgh is still really good. I mean, Mike Tomlin, they've had 3 head coaches since 1969. That's just wild. Especially when the 49ers had 3 head coaches between 2015 and 2017. Um,
Yeah,
and and
it is wild.
so, like, there's job security there, but Robert Saleh is the kind of competitive guy. What Pittsburgh needs to do is they've got to take their medicine, kind of like Denver did when Sean Payton got there, cutting Russell Wilson and cutting these and eating this massive amount of dead cap, resetting their team, going and getting a top flight young quarterback that you can build your team around. Now, that's always the wild card in there, is that you've got to hit on that quarterback, or else you've completely shot yourself in the foot. But you've got to hit on that and blow that whole thing up, get a bunch of draft picks, get rid of a bunch of this high dollar aging vet salary construction. Like TJ Watts, he's got to go. Like, that's just somebody, whoever comes in has got to be willing to make that move. TJ Watt is not going to be there at his and be worth his price point, what his contract is, in 2 and 3 years. That's what they need to do, is blow everything up, get to that place in 2 and 3 years where they're able to rebuild the team around a young core, and have a lot of cap to then go get some free agents to supplement your drafts like the 49ers did in 2019. But they've got to suck this upcoming year. And I don't know if Robert Saleh is the kind of competitive personality that is okay with sucking. That was part of Mike Tomlin's issue, and why Mike Tomlin wanted to step away, was that was very clear. That's where Pittsburgh needs to go. They need to blow the whole thing up, get some really high draft picks, rebuild the whole thing, move on from these aging vets that are really expensive, blow that thing up, start over. Tomlin has no interest in doing that. He's been coaching there for 19 years. He has no interest in blowing the whole roster up and starting over. That's why he walked away. Remember, he's not going to go coach anywhere. He resigned, but the Steelers still have the rights to his contract. So he can't go coach somewhere. This is very much what happened with Sean Payton, right? That Sean Payton wanted to leave. The Saints didn't want to let him go. And so he went to TV for a year until they filled his position. And then they traded him to the Broncos, and they did their whole thing. So that's what I see happening here with Mike Tomlin. And so Robert Saleh, I think, okay, that's a spot. There's some real positives there, but I don't know if that's really the right place for him because of their situation. Baltimore is the intriguing one because they've been so good and they've been so competitive, and you have a guy who's won multiple MVPs there as quarterback, and you think, okay, if I can build a really strong defense, they have a good defensive nucleus, but they also have some real questions about where does their offensive identity go as Lamar Jackson gets older and he's dealing with more injuries. These injuries are now piling up. We talked about this for several years, that Lamar Jackson, that style of play is going to, it's going to wear the tread off the tire faster. And that's what you're seeing with him, is that now these last few years, he's been dealing with a lot of injuries that keep him out for a lot of games. There becomes a question of, okay, can you adjust the way that you play quarterback? Can he move into a different, more drop back passing? And I don't know if that's there. And this does create an interesting paradox where you go, okay, a defensive coach like Robert Saleh makes a lot of sense, because you're going to say, okay, we're not going to ask Lamar to be MVP Lamar. We're going to ask Lamar to be good enough, and we're going to build a really good defense around a really good defensive scheme. But they're also a 3-4 team. And Saleh is going to be coming in and running his system, which is a 4-man front. So you've got to redo some of the roster construction. I just don't know how that works going forward. But it is an intriguing destination. I think a lot of the other destinations just are not that attractive really for Robert Saleh. You don't want to go to the Browns in that quarterback situation. I do think
that's like the Jets. He already went there.
Well, and I think what Robert Saleh is looking at is, okay, I've been through this before with the Jets, where we got in, I picked a quarterback really young and really early to build around, and we whiffed, and that was a domino effect that completely derailed the entire organization. And so I think he's seen that if wherever I go next, I have got to either have an answer there or a clear path to an answer for that, or else this will be my last chance as a head coach. So I do think he's going to be a little bit more selective, but at the same point, if he's turning down a bunch of offers, there's going to be a lot of teams that don't even want to spend their time with him next season. Yeah, I do think that the number one thing for the 49ers to keeping Robert Saleh, outside of all those, because all those become hypotheticals and what ifs and everything, the best way to keep Robert Saleh is win this game. Because Ian Rappaport was talking about it, the first domino in the head coaching search is kind of fallen with John Harbaugh to the Giants. I think that's the fish that everybody was going after. Now that's fallen, you're going to see a number of these different places probably fill their head coaching search by Wednesday or Thursday of next week. I think that's what's going to happen here, because then they're going to do the in-person interviews with their top 2 and 3 candidates and make a decision either the next day or the day after. I think that's where a lot of these teams are moving towards, because they got to get in and they got to get these guys moving on their scouting and their free agent scouting and figure out who's running the ship and all this stuff. So, if say the Rams get bounced, then Chris Shula is going to be a very attractive candidate for a lot of people, because he can go interview in person. Clint Kubiak becomes a very attractive candidate because he can go interview in person. Robert Saleh can't do that. And so the longer you hold on to your coordinators through this process, unless a team says this is our guy, the only one we're targeting, and after that, If that doesn't work out, this is going to be kind of not pleasant because all the good candidates are gone. Nobody's going out that he's going to stay. Like exceptions to this become Jed York clearly targeting Kyle Shanahan. Like even though the Falcons went to the Super Bowl that year, he was waiting on Kyle Shanahan. Like that was clear the entire way that was his target. That was why they fired Chip Kelly. Was he was looking at this? He said, Chip may do something, but we're not going to take that chance. Kyle Shanahan is available this year. I'm going and getting Kyle Shanahan. And so it was a very targeted search. I don't see that with Robert Saleh this year. And so the longer you hold on to him, the better chance you have of him staying here next year. I don't think I've ever seen a divisional round game for the 49ers that meant so much to their success the next year.
Yeah, that is kind of wild. Let's get to some super chats because Gizmo Maltese has two of them. One, he says Seahawks are not much better than the Eagles. And then why start injured Pearsall over a healthy D-Rob? So let's get into both of those.
So Seahawks versus the Eagles, I will say the Seahawks have a more consistent offense. They don't necessarily have the weapons that and the roster construction of the Eagles offense. Remember that Eagles team is facing some serious dilemmas because they have tacked on so many void years on different players. Like people talk about, oh, the salary cap doesn't exist. Look at these teams and Howie Roseman's doing this. Howie Roseman has done a great job because they have been, they won a Super Bowl last year. They were in a Super Bowl 2 years before that. They're in the playoffs this year. They have one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. They've done it at a point where come 2027, 2028, there's going to be detonations going off in their salary cap that cause a reset. And they're going to have real questions about what do they do with Jalen Hurts? What do they do with some of these guys? Because, they have massive void year bombs about to go off that they have been basically they're borrowing from 2028 plus to pay for their window now. This reminds you they're going to be in a situation very much of what the 49ers were in the late 90s and early 2000s, where they were paying for the 1994 Super Bowl and those trying to make a run in 95, 96. And they knew the salary cap was coming. And they're like, well, but we have our window. We're going to chase it now. And we're going to kick the can down the road. We're going to do all these things. Right now, the way that teams do that is with these void years. And they have massive void year bombs that are going to go off that will just absolutely throw everything in turmoil. They for example, like AJ Brown's contract, they have 5 void years tacked on at the end of his contract. And they've got to make some decisions about whether he can be there or not, because he's got massive option bonuses and he's got very little guaranteed money at past 2027. So he's going to need and want a new contract, but they have 5 void years that add up to something like $48 million in cap that suddenly goes off. Like that's a huge bomb that's going to go off for your salary cap. When you look at Jalen Hurts' contract, it's the same thing. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 void years added on to Jalen Hurts' contract. That what happens with the void years is it spreads, it reduces the per year proration of bonuses. But all those void years, once the contract is end up, they condense and all hit at the end of that year. So it's the same thing with Jalen Hurts. He's got these big option bonuses that are also going to trigger void year bonuses as well, because there's very little guaranteed money. And so they've got to redo his contract. And when they do, they have a $97 million void year bomb that's going to go off in Jalen Hurts' contract. So like, with all of this, the Eagles have been able to build a much more deep roster because they have pushed so much cap into the future. So, like, you look at their offensive line, it is clearly better than the Seahawks. but they didn't perform as well. You look at running back, they're clearly more talented than the Seahawks. You look at receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigma is a phenomenal receiver. So is AJ Brown, but AJ Brown's also got Devontae Smith on the other side, who's a very dynamic receiver. So like this, when I look at these, and then the defenses, I think the Philadelphia defense is actually a little bit better than the Seahawks defense, because as talented as that Philadelphia offense has been, they have been absolutely putrid in the second half of games the last 5-6 weeks. They won 2 or 3 games during down the stretch where Jalen Hurts did not complete a pass in the second half, and they won. Like, that tells you how good their defense was playing. Now, they were playing some horrible offenses, but the Philadelphia offense, our defense, I think, was their numbers look worse because Philadelphia's offense just put them in so many bad positions. The Seahawks offense has just been good enough to not do that to their defense too much. So to me, when I look at defenses around the league, it's Houston is number 1, and it's by a mile. Like, Houston is such a good defense. Then it's Philadelphia, and right below them is Seattle. So I don't think that the Seahawks are miles better than the Eagles. I do think they're better coached as far as from the offensive side of the ball. I think Mike McDonald and Vic Fangio are kind of I'd say Vic, just because of the longevity in the league and the creativity of the longevity and how much influence he's had around the league, is a step above Mike McDonald. But McDonald has done a phenomenal job. So if that kind of answers that question. And then the other question of why start an injured Pearsall over a healthy Demarcus Robinson, it's speed. I mean, it just comes down to that, is that that Demarcus Robinson does not stretch the field in any way. I mean, basically, you've got Juwan Jennings, who is a slow, big-bodied, contested catch slot guy. And then you've got 2 Z receivers that are bigger bodied, in traffic catch guys, but don't stretch the field at all. Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson, pretty much equal speed. Neither one of them are, each one can, if they're given a crease, can maybe get you 20, 30 yards, but none of them are going to hit a home run. Like, these are at best, down the line, down the third baseline, slide in double kind of hitters. Ricky Pearsall is somebody that when he can be what he is like stand up triple home run hitter kind of receiver, because he's just so much more dynamic. So that's why I would start in injured Pearsall. You're going to create more space. One thing that Brock is probably better than anybody in the league right now at is those layered throws in the intermediate area. What the Seattle was able to do, because when you don't have speed on the field, there's no Ricky Pearsall. When you don't have Christian McCaffrey, you suddenly have no way to stretch that field. Everybody's an intermediate guy. And so the Seahawks were shallow in their deep drop. They were deep in their shallow drop, because they didn't have to worry about anybody who could break a tackle underneath and do something with the ball in their hands. And they didn't have to worry about any speed over the top. So it just, everything became condensed into that honey area where Brock tends to thrive, and our offenses tended to thrive. And that's why you only score 3 points. So that is why you put a Ricky Pearsall out there, is because he just brings there's a speed element that those safeties and corners have to respect more. He can take on that backside man coverage guy better than anybody else on our team, but he's got to protect that knee somehow. I don't know what they got to do. Like, seriously, put like spray foam or something, like some sort of airbag that can go off when he lands on his knee or something to protect that knee, because basically any contact at the front of that knee is going to send him out of the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for, is like in the second quarter, just he's done. Like, he's going to play probably, it looks like. So I want to talk about the defense for a couple reasons. One, it was announced officially that Fred Warner is out, but we talked about Kendricks and how I've grown to really love that guy. I mean, and just excited now that he has this under his belt and now gets to go and kind of be the guy. And I'm just excited to see what it looks like. What are your thoughts with the linebackers that we have available?
I mean, I would say once Tatum Bethune went out against Seattle, our run defense improved. It was just it clearly was better. Tatum Bethune has had a slower trigger against the run. I mean, just when you look at the end of that Seattle game, and I you can go to the show I did with Rob yesterday. Anybody who's here, at the end of that show, we covered some Kendricks film, and so there was a play that Seattle ran out of the same formation 3 times in the game. The first time they ran it, I think it was the late first or second quarter. It's a little spot concept. Is their version of it. So normally a spot's going to be a corner route, a spot route, and a flat route. And the way that Seattle runs theirs, or Philadelphia runs theirs, that corner route is a side adjust route and it's a coverage adjust route. So it can be kind of like a basic route. It can be a post. It can be a corner. It can be a deep hook route. Um, but it's that concept, right? So they run that, spots open right away. Jalen Hurts hits Devontae Smith. Okay, they come back 2-minute drill. I think it was their fifth to last play in the game. So it was their last first down. They run the same play, same formation, run the same play. They hit the spot. It's right there. Okay, so first down of their last series, of their last 4 plays. They go to line, same formation, they run the same play. It was the 3rd time in the game that they'd run that play. And Eric Kendricks flies out on the spot because he recognized it. He'd seen that, okay, you guys ran this in the first quarter, and then he sees the same formation, but it's 3 quarters later or 2 quarters later, and sees that and he goes, okay, so now I know when you're in that formation, that's what's coming. If I see Goddard release vertical, I know there's going to be a spot underneath it. And he jumps the route, and Hurts pulls the ball down. And then he gets sacked for a 1-yard loss. And that sets off the domino that ends up getting the 49ers off the field on 4th down. And then he makes the 4th down play. So like that kind of play, that veteran presence who's able to, you know that this is a guy who's got so many games under his belt and been in some moments where the game doesn't start speeding up for him when those big moments are happening. He's not being overwhelmed by the data he's seeing and what's out there. He understands what he's seeing. He's able to match it up to the film study, and he's able to recognize things in game as they go. That's telling you there's a calm mind. Like when I saw Tatum Bethune on the field, and Kyle Shanahan talked about this because they asked him, how did you know Eric Kendricks was going to be this guy? And he said, well, you can tell somebody's character from the silent tape and how they do. And in a number of ways, that's true. You can tell that Tatum Bethune, that the game is moving really fast for him and that he does not have a calm mind because everything seems jittery. Like when he's dropping back, the feet are crazy moving because it's going like there's just that high anxiety, that adrenaline. You can see it in his body and how he's attacking things, and he'll just fly or he's and gets caught in indecision. Eric Kendricks looks calm. He's understanding what he's seeing. He's reading his keys and he's going and attacking. So he sees it, he attacks. He sees it, he drops back. Like he reads run pass better. So like Eric Kendricks, the biggest challenge was, can you absorb the playbook in the short amount of time he's had? We saw against Philadelphia that they were able to do enough. So you get another week of prep, a week where he's able to go and look at what they did week 1. He's able to look at what they did week 18. They don't have to spend as much time looking at new stuff. He's going to be able to step in there and say, okay, I can do this. And it should be a big help for that 49ers run defense that was so bad against Seattle. Seattle did not throw the ball around everywhere. They're going to get some yards with a JSN. I'm okay with that. I've resolved myself to that. You can't let them run for almost 200 yards. That was a huge difference. They ran for 85. Charbonnet did against us in week 1 and ran for like 160 something week 2. Those 2 guys were going off on us in that game. So I have more hope for the defense in this, and I have more hope for the offense in this game. So I know Seattle fans are going to say, well, we just dog walked you guys. Well, you didn't dog walk us. Our offense really struggled, but I'm looking at it, the matchup and what has changed in the last 13 days. And I say, I like our chances a lot better now than I did 13 days ago.
Another super chat because I want to get into a couple injured guys and shame on Cayman's Island podcast. A big shame because he was late. He admitted he was late to the podcast and he
Shame.
missed. He missed us. We
Shame.
gave away a car. All the faithful, you can attest to this. You can let Cayman's know we did give away a car. So we wanted to do what Brock Purdy did for his
It was a
lineman.
Toyota.
We wanted to do for the faithful what Brock Purdy did for the lineman. And Cayman's Island podcast missed out. That'll teach you. But thank you for the super chat. He says thoughts on George Kittle's future. You think he'll be okay? He is getting longer in the tooth. He is older. And then I want to bring up Jacob Cowing. But what do you think? That's too early to tell, but we do this sometimes because we're just living in the moment now. Too early to tell, but what is your timetable realistically for an injury like this with a guy like Kittle?
Well,
10
okay,
months? And what are we looking at?
the standard is 9 to 12 months. It's similar to an ACL, right? It's a major ligament that they usually have to harvest from another part on the body. Now, sometimes there can be a cadaver ligament that they use. It just depends. I don't think that they've gone back. So, I mean, usually you're rehabbing two areas of the body at once. And so that's why these injuries can be between 9 and 12 months, because there's just the physical atrophy that happens over 4, 5, 6 months of recovery, and then they have to build the body back up, and that takes a while. So, typically it's 9 to 12 months. That puts him early September up to the entire season next year being gone. So, it's, you don't know. Now, I will say that there have been some advancements in Achilles repairs as some of the different, it comes down to more materials. They're able to use some more synthetic materials to help kind of hold those ligaments together and repair the sutures and everything. And so it tends to speed up. You can see healing time sped up by 4 to 6 weeks is what happens of that healing. And then you start your rehab more aggressively and sooner. And because there's some basically some extra reinforcement in there, you can attack the rehab more aggressively without risking setbacks and micro tears and things as you go. So they have seen some Achilles able to come back at the 7 to 8 month range. Shanahan did say that the surgery was extremely successful. He had texted George. Basically, somebody sent him a video of George on the anesthesia. And then, he talked to the docs, and they said that there's a really high chance of him coming back ahead of normal schedule. Now, again, that doesn't mean that he will. It just means he has a better chance because of the nature of how it tore and what they were able to do inside. So that means they probably were not doing a full Achilles reconstruction, that they were doing an Achilles, basically a synthetic repair in there. Not too dissimilar to what Brock had with his UCL. Back in the day, that was the Tommy John surgery. They were going to have to harvest a ligament from somewhere else and completely replace the ligament in the elbow. What they did now is they do an internal brace that basically can pull those two pieces together, hold them there so that the ligament itself can get repaired. So that's kind of what is happening with George in this instance, is what I presume. The Crabtree injury, thank you for the super chat, John Kimball. Stay on the run, man. Don't let him catch you. Where for those who know,
I did not kill my wife.
Yeah. Crabtree's was a partial tear, so it wasn't a full tear of his Achilles. So they were able to suture it back together, and then it healed that way, but it wasn't a full Achilles reconstruction. That's why he was able to come back in 6 months, because he injured it in May during OTAs, and then he came back in November. I remember that. And so that was a little bit different of a situation. George was a complete tear, as far as I understand, or as complete as it can be with that. So with George's future, George, he plays a position where top end speed is a bonus. It's not a requisite. Where we've seen some of the top flight tight ends over the last 20 years, 25 years, can play deep into their career, because that's a position that, you're not asking guys to run clearing routes on the outside and push safeties deep. You're not asking a guy to run a deep post route. You're not asking a guy to run a 20-yard comeback route where you got to get down and then come back to the ball in time. Tony Gonzalez, as an example, he played well into the twilight of his career. We've seen Travis Kelce do that. You saw Antonio Gates was able to still be very effective late into his career.
Yeah.
There's a number of other guys, Carolina, Greg Olsen, same way, able to play deep into his career, because it's just a position that's different. Gronk was able to play many, many years. So, George, I think, will be fine going forward. Is he going to be as quite as dynamic in the open field as he's been? Probably not. But I mean, you're looking at what kind of production drop off would you expect from George into his mid 30s? 10% maybe. I mean, you're looking at maybe 8-9 yards a game sort of drop off. It's not like a receiver where you can see 40-50% drop off as they go into their career. I will say George just needs to get with Jerry Rice and find the hidden fountain of youth that Jerry tapped into for 7 years.
Hill. It is on that hill somewhere. I don't know where.
It's somewhere up there. He says he was training, but there was something up there that wasn't just running up a hill. So anyways.
So, all right, we got to get into this because the chat is getting into it. And I don't mind. I love the faithful. I love when they get on a topic and they kind of go with it, because I do want to get your thought on this. It is my take is that Cowing is not available and not being punished. It's that hamstring does keep coming back up, and that's
he's healthy
really.
Though. I mean, they made it clear. He's made it clear that he's healthy.
Is it punishment? Why is
I don't think it's punishment. I don't think it's punishment. I just don't buy into some of that stuff, especially when it comes around to playoffs. Like, what could this guy have done that would be deserving of punishment that we haven't had one whisper about this whole time? I don't think so. I think it's more a situation of his alias is from Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, because I told you it's Richard Kimball.
Oh yeah, Richard Kimball.
I
said
it's Dr. Richard Kimball,
right.
Which I said,
Richard
no
Kimball.
big deal. Tomato. But
okay.
Thank you for the
thank you for the super chat, John, and clearing things.
You
up.
owe him the $2, Johnny.
I do. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Back to Cowing. Look, this is where I just don't agree with sometimes with Shanahan's approach. And now that being said, I'm not the one whose head is on the line for wins or losses. So it's easy for me to say, well, yeah, Jacob Cowing's been in this offense for 2 years. How is it really, that much of a stretch to be able to get him back out there and run the routes?
How does he not know the plays?
He's surely, and what we knew from training camp when he was in, that he had an amazing training camp. He had amazing OTAs and an amazing mini camps. That he was looking super explosive and that he was on everything. And I go, okay. And DeMarcus Robinson, to me, he hasn't been running the routes at the right depth. Sometimes his run blocking has been horrible. Just go, if you have a replay of the game, go watch the very first play of the game. DeMarcus Robinson gets blown up on the toss play. They run a toss play to the left. DeMarcus Robinson gets his rear end thrown 3 yards back and pancaked like on the ground. He gets absolutely demolished. he has been terrible in run blocking this year. So I go, okay, can Jacob Cowing really be worse in run blocking than Demarcus Robinson? If he is, that's a really bad sign. Can he run routes worse than Demarcus Robinson? I don't see that. The only thing I can look at is that you go, well, there's a lot of muscle memory that does get lost when you don't run these routes in practice for 3 and 4 months. And you're looking at, you haven't had a full speed practice since early November, I think, is when the last time they had a real full speed practice. Maybe they've had one or two. And clearly this week and last week, they were not running full speed practice, just trying to get guys back healthy. So I understand that side of, okay, you have a guy that his practice window is open. You're looking at, can we bring him on and run these routes, but he hasn't had any full speed practices. The quarterback has not had any full speed practices of making sure he's in the right place at the right time. But at the same point, I'm like, but if I'm asking a guy to run a deep post on like heat is one of our plays, I would much rather have Jacob Cowing out there than I would Demarcus Robinson. Sky Moore, the one of the reasons he hasn't gotten a lot of reps out there is just the guy doesn't know the route tree very much. He hasn't had an opportunity to practice the route tree with Brock Purdy at all. He came here after training camp. Receivers being picked up after training camp, they either have to know the route tree before they get here, or it's going to be basically a redshirt year of special teams, and that's what Sky Moore has been. And they've talked about that. Sky Moore's talked about that. I mean, the 49ers have 110 routes in their route tree. I cover them on the members website, and there's a lot of detail in there. With Jacob Cowing, I don't understand. Like, I just, if he's healthy and has been healthy for a while, I don't understand why he isn't on the field. I don't understand it. I hope that he's activated this weekend. We need speed. We need speed in the receiving corps. We just do. Like, I don't know if it's this, like, we don't have time to get guys in and make sure and practice to make sure that they know they're going to be where they are and they're on their P's and Q's. I don't know what the reason truly is. I don't think it's him being punished. I think it's just they have what they've been using for a while and what they've been practicing with, and they don't like to disrupt that stuff. Like, they don't like to disrupt these things because timing is so important in this offense, and Brock being able to trust where he is, and Brock throws the ball so early. If your guy isn't there at the right time, these can lead to interceptions. And I think there's just a level of that of, okay, if they can't practice with Brock Purdy, we cannot just throw him out there and expect Brock to rip it and let it loose.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back to Seattle. Not saying we're ready for your exact prediction yet, but what else are we thinking for this game? Overall, I do feel better than what I thought I would. And maybe it's because I know, look, if we lose, we lost to the number 1 seed at their place. We won a playoff game. I didn't know if we would make the playoffs. Like, is it okay to chalk it up that way? Or are we like, no, we're Niners. We're like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you feel?
Well, I think no matter, I mean, I think it goes back to our conversations early in the year after Bosa went down and then Fred Warner went down of, do you punt the season away? Clearly we're seeing, like, right now, what happened in the Eagles game is why you don't punt a season away. That was one of the greatest games we've seen in 2 years for the 49ers. I think that was one of the most satisfying playoff wins
Unreal.
we've
Yeah.
seen since probably 2021. Yeah, I felt like, just the way that they were the underdog. Nobody believed in them. It was only like Alex Smith, Richard Sherman, and Terry Bradshaw who picked the 49ers to win. And everybody else said, no, they're not going to win. We saw Purdy have that great game-winning drive. Like, we have a great memory of this playoff game. And so for me, no matter what happens going forward, I've been very happy with this year because this was supposed to be a roster reset year. Like they never came out and said we're not going for the Super Bowl this year, but everybody does the whole thing. The Steelers have been doing this for 10 years, right? We just get to the dance and then see what happens, and we might be, you never know, and we might be able to compete. No, the Steelers were not legitimately in the running for any Super Bowl for the last 6-7 years. We were that kind of team this year where you're going, they were like, we're not going to talk about Super Bowl because we have to develop young guys this year. We've got to inject a lot of youth onto the roster. We're going to lose a lot of good players like a Talanoa Hufanga. That's a hard guy to replace. Like a Dre Greenlaw. That's a really hard guy to replace. You let Aaron Banks go, you have a hole at left guard now. And the guy that you had meant to fill that role is on IR, and you have Spencer Burford playing that role. You have Brandon Ayuk has the only drives he's going for are 100 miles an hour past the stadium. He's gone full Brown and has just absolutely disappeared. Went MIA on the team, is on the reserved retired list. You have Ricky Pearsall, who banged his knee, and he's been injured most of the year. George Kittle just tore his Achilles. You've had all of these things. Brock Purdy dealing with the turf toe. You lose. Fred Warner's got his ankle turned the wrong way. Bosa's torn his ACL. Micah Williams, your number 11 overall pick, it tears his ACL. He's out of there. There is no reason to look at this season and if they were to fall short this weekend, turn around and say, this is unacceptable. The fact that you were here is crazy. Do I believe they can go farther still? Yeah. And that's wild to think about because this is what the argument and the thing that we've asked for years when we watched Patrick Mahomes in 2020 and then on, that it was like they could have a roster that in October, everybody's saying they're donezo. Like they do not have the dynamic roster they have. Their defense hasn't been playing well. They've had this roster turnover, like when they let Charvarius Ward, when we went and signed him. And you say, okay, they're like every year from 2020 to 2024, every year people in October or November would say that the Chiefs just look like they're done. You're seeing Travis Kelce get into fights with Andy Reid on the sideline, and everybody's celebrating the demise of the Chiefs. And then next thing you know, you turn around, and at the end of January, they're still standing, and 30 other teams in the NFL have gone by the wayside. Why? Because they had a quarterback who could deliver in the biggest moments in the playoffs, and they had a great head coach and a great defensive coordinator. And when you have those three things, you will be in the game. You have a chance every single week. And in the playoffs, it's not about what happened in October and November. It is what matters for 3.5 hours in one game. And when you have those three elements, you can do anything. And this is a team that what I've learned this year is they have those three elements and they can do anything, and never count this team out. The moment you think that this team cannot beat somebody, they will beat the brakes off them. Now, the moment you think that they can just do this absolutely, and they've got this in the bag, and they start to believe that, then things fall apart. But if I'm looking at this year, I say I don't know a year I've been more proud of my team for the adversity that they've overcome, the hurdles that they've had to jump. And I say, no matter what going forward, I'm happy with these guys, but I will never say they can't do something this season. They have an ability to beat any team in the NFL.
The national media will say that too. That's what's crazy is even the national media is also starting to say, look, I'm not going to be surprised if the 49ers win the whole thing because up is down, left is right, night is day. It just doesn't make sense. Like, so yeah, that's why we're like, well, all right, let's roll the dice. Let's play ball. So speaking of playing ball, another super chat from Gizmo, were Seahawks basically running nickel all game? And that is in regard to the last time we played.
Yeah, so I mean that comes with Worry is that basically he's on the field almost the entire time, and he's a defensive back. They use him in this hybrid linebacker, safety, slot corner kind of guy role, and so yeah, they're able to use him and be in nickel. I don't know. It's not. I mean, not all nickel is the same. Upton Stout. If the 49ers were to play that and if we came out and said, okay, 49ers were in nickel almost the entire game, and the Seahawks couldn't run on that. Seahawks fans would say, "What the crap happened? You couldn't run on Upton Stout out of 21 personnel." Well, having like a 210, 5'11" slot guy versus a 225-pound, like 6'1" kind of guy is different. That's a different matchup to run against, and so yes, technically they're in nickel, but I really would say they're like in big nickel is what I would call it the entire game. But and they have a really good, front four that allows them to do some of that. And then get to another super chat here.
Cornelius in the house. Is Sam Darnold nicked up? Yes. I mean, that's
So
yes.
he is.
Drew Lock is getting practice time. Drew Lock is getting practice time.
Yeah, Sam Darnold is really downplaying it. So he was asked about it. Now, here's what should be concerning for Seattle on this. This wasn't like he got hit weird in practice. He was throwing on air. He was literally just throwing on the sideline, and he felt something in his oblique. That means he pulled a muscle. Like there's no ifs, ands, or about it. Like he pulled a muscle in his oblique. He was asked what percentage could this keep you out of the game, and he said super low, near 0%. So he's saying I'm going to be playing in this game, but there's a reason that there's enough cause for concern that they're getting Drew Lock reps. So this is the covert ops at the time of year. When injuries pop up, weird injuries at a weird time, teams are going to be completely mum about it. They will only let out the absolute bare minimum, and then they will, whatever they tell you will probably be inaccurate for what actually happens going forward until they're forced to tell you if a guy is in or out.
If he gets hit just the right way by Kendricks or someone on a blitz.
Well, I'm not even concerned about that. Because it's one of those muscle pulls that it probably is not going to aggravate it by him getting hit in a weird way. Does he get torqued in a weird way? And is it like he goes to make to launch a deep throw and he's got to torque his lower body and he can't arm it? Or is his mind inadvertently making up for that oblique because there's an uncomfortableness there and he arms it and it causes the ball to sail? I think what I could see happening here is not as much keeping him out of the game. I think it could affect his accuracy if it starts causing him to inadvertently have a slightly different throwing motion than he's used to. And so hitting that Dover route, he may look to do it and it may be 2 feet to his right. And next thing you know, that's all you need for, if your safety's in the right spot, an interception. And that might be the difference in this game.
Right. And he might be even healthy. That could happen. That would be believable. Right. So I don't know. It's just going to be really exciting. The chat is super feisty with each other. Let's all calm down.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
I haven't been paying attention to chat a whole lot.
Oh, so I have.
I see. I've seen that you've been commenting. Let's keep it friendly in the chat.
Yeah,
right? Let's keep it friendly.
We are now. It's good. Okay. It's good.
Okay. We're all on the same team
Dad
here.
came in.
Okay.
Yeah. Except for the few. There was an Eagle fan, and he commented for a second, Eagles. And then it was over, and he was done. All right.
I mean, look, Eagles fans, go try and find an offensive coordinator. That's
all. Don't worry about us. Don't worry about us. Yeah. Butt hurt. So, all right. I don't know if I'm ready. I'm nervous to get to this segment, but I do think
do it. Score predictions. We got to do it, Adam. We got to land this plane.
All right. Do you mind going first?
Sure.
I always go first.
I think it's going to be 20-16 49ers. That's what I think. I can't pick against my team ever.
No,
I
no,
mean,
I'm not.
I'm kind of like Terry Bradshaw. I I don't know if they can win, but
But I'm
I'm gonna
picking
pick
them.
them anyways,
Yeah.
right? So like that's where I'm at. I think it's gonna be 20-16 49ers. I think Sam Darnold he's gonna give you opportunities. It will come down to two plays, and do you capitalize or not? Sam Darnold's going to give you the opportunity to get the ball. He did last game. He gave us two opportunities to get the ball, and we didn't get it either one. You've got to come up with at least one, probably at least two. If that happens, 49ers win this game. I will say this is the first time in over 25 years I will not actually be able to watch a 49ers playoff game live.
Oh
Uh,
no.
I know. I've had something on my schedule for over 4 months now,
I was gonna say
5 months.
better be a long time. All right.
And well, yeah,
Yeah.
and it ended up being on this weekend. I'm taking a bunch of teenagers to camp this weekend, and so I will not be. I was very very upset that the game was put on Saturday. I knew it was almost surely coming,
Yeah.
but the moment it was, I knew okay, I'm pretty much not gonna be able to see this game. So
So even if I
I
send you
need the
my
49ers to
login,
win so that I can actually watch I can actually watch a play then the next playoff game. So I need
so even if I send you my login for YouTube TV or something, like you just can't, based on what you'll be
I have
doing.
NFL Plus. I can watch it on there. It's just more a matter of scheduling.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be in the way that everything's scheduled. I'm going to be in the middle of something else
Yeah.
when the game is on. So
All right. So
yeah,
I won't text you. Are you're just gonna see the result on your phone
Pretty
later?
much. Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, can we all just take a moment of silence, like in the chat, put like, I don't know.
I mean, this is the first time since I think 1997 that I haven't watched a playoff game live.
Oh man, that is just not good.
Yeah, because
Everyone,
I'm not gonna get home until probably at least midnight Saturday night. And so yeah, it's gonna be
uh, yeah, that's gonna be rough. I feel for you. Man. Well, um, yes, Michael Norris, we are on the same page. We within a second of each other, we both said 21-17, I believe. Is a lot of 20-16, 24-17, 27-16. But me and Michael Norris, within a second apart, both said 21-17. So we're gonna buy a lottery ticket if that happens and split the winnings. Um,
go do FanDuel or something, man.
yeah. Um,
They're not
Man,
sponsoring the show, by the way.
right. Um, man,
Like I
I feel
appreciate
bad,
people in
man.
here being like, "Don't text in the results." I got too many
Yeah,
people who do that anyways. Like I got people who don't
yeah.
watch the live shows here on my on X that will sit there and DM me during the middle of a game, like because there's many games that I start late. And I'm like, dude, I can't check anything because I know there's like three messages that are going to be in there from different people. I got friends who don't follow me on any of the socials who are literally just text me and that are fans of other teams. I got a friend who's a Texans fan, and he'll be watching the game. I know, and he's gonna be like, bro, I wish you could watch this game, or bro, you should be sad. You should be glad you're not watching this game. Like he'll send me that kind of stuff, and I'm like, okay. Well, now I can't watch it because then my mind's gonna be sitting here. I'm like, what was he texting about? Like, what was the moment? So yeah. Anyway,
Man. Well, I guess I'll send you a text on Sunday when I know you know the result, and and then are you back by Monday? Are we
yeah. I'll be like I said. I'm getting home probably around midnight Saturday night. So we're
cool?
just going a quick 2-day thing.
All right. Man.
I wish the wifey could have it queued up for me when I'm home, Callagher, but
Yeah.
she's coming with me.
Oh, nice.
So,
Well, that's fun though. That's fun.
yeah, and I can't turn my phone off because I got to let parents know when we get home. That's the thing. Like when you get home, that there's a range, and so like it's a whole thing. Like, I mean, depending on when we get out of there, then I might be able to watch like the last 5 minutes of the game, like while we're on the road or something, have my wife have it holding it up and me trying not to crash. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well,
People have asking about the preview video. I'm not able to do one this week because we're leaving today. So that and the short week of from Sunday to or Saturday to this game, just I didn't get a chance to get in there. I think the good enough preview is going to be go watch the review from week 1 and go watch the review from week 18, and you can get a good primer. Because I mean, these teams are who they are, and at this point, like there's not a lot of there's no new data there. Like I can't look at this game and say, okay, what like this is what the 49ers are going to do that doesn't farm from week 18. Like week 18 is pretty much, okay, this is what you can't, like, go look at what went wrong and say, okay, we can't do that. We've got to fix that problem.
yeah. So he says, all good, man. We look for the victory Monday then. And even Cayman's Island picked the Niners. Well, what do you know? What do you know?
No. Change your mind. No. You picked the Eagles last week. You can't jinx this whole thing now. You've got to pick the Seahawks, because if not, and we lose, we're all blaming you. Just saying.
Yeah, we already gave away a car, dude. Like, come on. I love the faithful. I just cannot say that enough. The faithful are we're just different, bro. Like, that's the way it is. So, all right. We are excited to have a Victory Monday with you all. We'll see you soon. So, in the meantime and in between time, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Niners.